recommended as a hard, healthy food, but then you turn around, it's got all kinds of sugar in it. I'm thinking, what is this nonsense and who believes that?
Sugar is red dyes, blue dyes, yellow
If
dyes.
we don't know how to read the labels and don't know what we're looking for, we're going to fall for that trap every time.
Or even some people can have the depletion of coenzyme Q10, which eventually produces energy. And if the muscle doesn't have what it needs to actually go through the full contraction, it gets stuck in what's called a spasm.
Yeah, vinegar has been long known to be a good cleaner. People mix vinegar and water and clean their counters. And by the way, this is not about toxins, this particular segment, but make sure to do that versus use the toxic chemicals that we have out there. That's just one idea.
There's a lot of fake food out there that you might just be better off without. Let's talk about some of these fake healthy foods.
Well, you better be an expert at reading labels because those labels will lie to you. I've seen that time and time again. I've seen on cereal boxes before, just as an example to sort of lead to this discussion. Recommended as a hard, healthy food, but then you turn around, it's got all kinds of sugar in it. I'm thinking, what is this nonsense and who believes that?
Sugar is red dyes, blue dyes, yellow dyes.
If we don't know how to read the labels and don't know what we're looking for, we're going to fall for that trap every time.
Would you think that baked potato chips are a healthy option?
No, I wouldn't, because many times the baked potato chips, not only do they have a lot of trans fat, hydrogenated fat baked in there, but they've got burned oils in there. And it is so bad that it actually creates oxidation in your vessels and oxidation in your cells. They are terrible for you.
So what does that oxidation do to the size of the LDL cholesterol particle?
Very important. We hear that LDL is bad. So again, different segment, different day. But LDL carries cholesterol as part of its function. So cholesterol, in other words, is on for a piggyback ride in LDL. It doesn't matter how much we have. What matters is the size of those particles. When you have foods that contain those burned oils and hydrogenated fats like chips, it will take your particles and it will shrink them down. And those small particles create big problems. What big problems I'm talking about? I'm talking about atherosclerosis or heart disease process. There you go.
What about diet soda? Is that a healthy option?
No. Some of those artificial sweeteners in like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, some of those are the ingredients that form formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is used to pickle dead people. So if you go ahead and drink Diet Coke, you're just preparing yourself to be pickled, the way I look at it.
Well, a lot of times we have now seen that those alternatives, the diet drinks, disrupt the gut microbiome.
Well, they do. They're not natural at all. So, I've even heard people say, and I agree with this, that it's probably better to drink a real Coke than it is a Diet Coke or something like that. Or diet drink, I should have probably said. But the bottom line is this. Neither is good. One of them has too much sugar. The other one has things that will kill you and give you cancer and disturb your microbiome. So they're both bad. Avoid them.
When we are reaching for dried fruits, what happens to the sugar content in those dried fruits? They're touted as a healthy option.
Oh, we see this all the time. You'll see these fruit trays that people will get, and they might have raisins and dried pineapples and dried oranges and apples and things like that. They do taste good, but here's the deal. Drying of the fruit increases the sugar content and sugar load. It'll drive your blood sugar faster. And even a lot of the dried fruits you see within boxes, they actually have added sugar in them. So that is a recipe for disaster.
We know that juicing has been touted as a healthy option. When we drink just straight green juice, we're pulling out the fibers and we're pulling out some of the other components of the plant. Is green juice really a healthy option?
Well, I suppose some of the phytonutrients that are there we maintain, green juice that has maybe a kale and some spinach and things like that that are blended together probably have some benefits. But like you said, we lose the option of fiber. Fiber is super important for our gut microbiome. It's super important for LDL cholesterol, and it's super important for health. Most of our juices today, though, have a bunch of fruit juices in there. And so it's just pure sugar. When you eat a piece of apple or eat an apple and take a bite of it and chew it, that's different than having apple juice. Apple juice is pure sugar. The apple has the sugar, the fructose in it, in its natural form companion with fiber.
The other thing that we have to think about with juicing is how much of that plant substance does it take to make a glass of juice. So even though it may be green, you're still having to utilize a lot to get X amount of juice. So there's still going to be a lot of sugar there. Carbohydrate.
Oh yeah, blend the whole veggie in the thing and don't throw away the fiber. Blend it and don't juice it.
I was at the airport the other day and I picked up something off one of the vending shelves, and they were yogurt covered pretzels that said good for your health.
Yeah, that's people that believe that label need to have their head examined, literally, because that is a pretzel which has this hydrogenated fat, and it's a fried pretzel with nothing but sugar on there. And so you're going to make yourself a diabetic and hurry with that one. Thank you for not buying this, by the way.
Yeah, they aren't in our household.
No.
Veggie chips.
Yeah. Sounds good, doesn't it? But again, a lot of these
They're
things,
veggies, aren't they veggies?
well,
Are they made from veggies?
But that's like looking at something that has one ingredient and saying that's what I buy it for, that one ingredient, but have 5 bad ones. That's what veggie chips are. Many times they do have that trans fat or hydrogenated fat. They do have the effect their palm oil, soy or canola oil. Those are terrible for your system and goes back to that cellular aging process.
So I think if you're going to eat veggie chips, make them yourself with
Yes.
a dehydrating piece of machinery instead of getting them from the store. Those are mainly just potato starch and hydrogenated oils, or oils that have been oxidized, which are not good for your health.
That's right. Like we've got some kale chips that are good, and you can find stuff out there. You just got to read the labels. And the bottom line is with these foods out there, there's a bunch of them out there that are like Frankenfoods, faux foods, and they're label trickery. And so we've given you some tools here. Read the label, and if you want more information on stuff like this, we talk about it all the time, you go to our website at Sherwood.tv. We have a bunch of educational blogs. You can see all of our segments here on Furthermore as well.
Boy, those muscle cramps and spasms, they can sure be a killer.
Find out how to eradicate those things next.
Our flagship product is called Kingdom Fuel. Tell us a little bit about Kingdom Fuel and why it's so good.
We saw people struggling with the idea and concept of it's too expensive to eat healthy. So we thought, okay, that's the problem. Let's find a solution. So we found a solution for $5 or under per meal. And that represented the birth of the idea of Kingdom Fuel. So Kingdom Fuel is organic pea protein. It's got greens and reds in it. So this is the phytonutrients from green plants and red plants that we all talk about. Eat your vegetables, right? It's also got vitamins and minerals in it. So it's got a complete complex of that. And it's got also soluble and insoluble fiber, which the difference between the two is profound. Soluble actually gathers moisture and makes you full. And the insoluble goes through the system and grabs things like damaged particles.
The body runs on nutrients. It doesn't run on medication. And Kingdom Fuel is a complete multivitamin and mineral.
Introducing OK Movie Stream, your ticket to a world of cinematic classics and wonders, right from the heart of Oklahoma and the surrounding areas.
Baby, take a walk under the moonbeams.
Dive into a world of captivating stories and extraordinary talent, all on OK Movie Stream.
You got to believe, y'all.
Choose the option that suits you best. Watch for free with commercials, binge watch your favorites for 3 days, or unlock ad-free streaming for just $10 a year. Join the OK Movie Stream community today and embark on a cinematic journey like never before.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
And it's Kingdom Cup with a K,
K.
right? So this is important. 50% of all coffee at least contains mold. And this is a key thing. That's in bean form, right? So you're going to be a little grinder. They're just a few bucks. Grind it up, put it in your maker, and make it. Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. So this is actually organic, mold-free, certified. It's got a little certificate with it. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative. Have you ever woke up with little cramps or spasms in your muscle and you're like, what is going on? You know, I have many times, and I've asked myself that question. Today we're going to talk about that. So, sweetheart, when we talk about this idea of muscle spasms and how they move into cramps, a lot of people really don't understand the connection and maybe what causes them.
There can be a lot of different causes. For example, a lot of different medications can deplete nutrients like magnesium, or even some people can have the depletion of coenzyme Q10, which eventually produces energy. And if the muscle doesn't have what it needs to actually go through the full contraction, it gets stuck in what's called a spasm. And if a spasm isn't relieved, it perpetuates itself and becomes a full-blown cramp.
Well, those will hurt, man. As an athlete, I've had those a couple times. You're sweating all day, you know, and all of a sudden, wham, you go down. You see it on the football field a lot, especially during hot weather. You see it on basketball courts, and many times. You used to be a sports medicine doctor for Oklahoma University and even Tulsa University. So did you give like IVs from time to time?
Oh, absolutely. They'd come off the field at halftime, cramping. They'd gone past the point of spasm into full-blown cramps. We'd give them a liter of IV fluids, and voila, in 30 minutes, they were ready to go back on the field. So cramping can be directly related to hydration insufficiency, lack of fluids, and of course, electrolytes.
Well, you mentioned, two questions I've got for you. Some people wonder what's in those bags. I mean, I know, but you could tell them. And then second question is, there's a lot of medications out here that are given. I mean, just perpetual, but there are certain ones that actually contribute to the development of these cramps, a spasm going into cramps. Can you talk about what's in the bag and then what are some medications that people need to be aware of?
Well, of course, what's going to be in the bag mainly is normal saline. Our bodies are 60% water. And if we're sweating and we're not replacing the fluids adequately, then we're going to become a little bit dehydrated and perpetuate the possibility of cramps. What else is in the bag is we're going to replace the electrolytes that are lost through sweating. Potassium and sodium, sometimes even B vitamins, magnesium. We're going to put those things in a bag. They can be called a Myers cocktail. They can be called a crampless wonder. There are a lot of different IV solutions that are the solution to cramping.
Okay, and then what are some medications that sort of will drain the body out, perpetually leading to maybe electrolyte loss?
Well, at the top of the list, those are going to be your diuretics. If you are taking a diuretic, those diuretics perpetuate the loss of fluid, and they also perpetuate the loss of electrolytes. So that's a double whammy. And if you get a little bit too much of that medication and the fluid balance and electrolyte balance on the other end isn't efficient, the system will start to go into a spasm and then eventually move into a cramp.
Okay, so use this term diuretics. I mean, a lot of people might know what that is. Some people might not. But let's understand that caffeine can be a diuretic. Name a couple medicines that people might want to be aware of.
Well, if you're using stimulants like Adderall or Vyvanse or phentermine, those are stimulants that can essentially cause the system to eliminate their water balance a little bit more rapidly. And also, we talk about how for every cup of coffee or caffeine that you drink, for every cup, you should replace it with 2 cups of water. And oftentimes people are just considering their caffeine or their coffee intake as their daily fluid intake. So at the end of the day, they're really becoming dehydrated.
Well, I think it's good to mention like things like a Lasix, maybe something that would be like a diuretic, maybe even a hydrochlorothiazide. Would that fit that category a little bit?
That's another one. There's spironolactone, there's diazide. There's a lot of different medications that have fluid balance effects that you want to talk specifically to your doctor or provider about. Is that the cause in the background of creating these muscle cramps? Another reason that we oftentimes see cramps or even restless legs at night that people don't think about is this thing called iron. If iron becomes very, very low, and the ferritin stores become very, very low, I've had patients go into severe muscle cramping because they don't have enough iron in their system.
Well, it's kind of wild too. You know, when you think about this, people have been told that don't consume sodium or salt, right? And so you mentioned putting saline solution in the bag. You know, obviously that's going to be a sodium solution. Sodium is one of the electrolytes. So the give and take here is fascinating because people have been told to not eat this, but so there's a balance there. Too much sodium would be like a lot of water retention, not good, even contributing to higher blood pressure, leading to the need for blood pressure medications and further
i.e. diuretics.
There you go. It's a weird dynamic here going on. I think what would you say is the best thing that people can do on just a general basis to say remedy this before it happens?
Well, first of all, the correct nutritional protocol. You know, avoiding the standard American diet, avoiding iodized sodium, all of the things that can be out of balance, and making sure you get fluid and electrolyte balance in proportion to your personal needs.
There you go. I think that's a good way to look at it, folks. You don't have to have the spasms. You don't have to have the cramps. There's always a reason for it. Don't think it's something you're destined to have. Look for the source. Correct the reason, and guess what? The muscle cramping goes away. Hope that helped.
Apple cider vinegar, yes or no?
And other key nutrients from God's nature. Just ahead, our Kingdom Candy with a K again. 2 flavors. We got salted
Delicious.
caramel and peanut butter. These are great. I mean, they're
kind of like a complete meal.
Yeah, they're 200 calories. People want to know that all the time, and not that we're worried about calories, but these things have great ingredients. They're not sweetened with sugars. They don't have those false sugars or fake sugars, artificial
They've got
sugars.
fiber in them.
They do. It's interesting. Salted caramel crunch is our newest flavor. We'll come up with some other stuff at some point, but those can bridge the gap of that sweet tooth craving. They're sweetened with monk fruit, and that's really, if you know what that is, it's not going to raise blood sugar.
It's really only 2 grams of sugar. I refer to it as the sweet without the cheat.
Any of these things out here are designed to be money-saving, nutrition-giving, and life-enhancing. And this is a big deal. So you'll find out, like thousands of other people did, that these things will help you live healthy longer. The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right, and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.
Let's get real. Most emergency food is just as bad for you as any other choice in the standard American diet. And that's just sad.
We don't just need food, we need highly nutritional food.
We don't just want to survive food shortages, we are meant to thrive in adversity.
Complete your daily nutrition and have shelf-stable Kingdom Fuel as a cornerstone of your food supply.
Don't sacrifice your health or your taste buds.
Stock up on Kingdom Fuel now.
People ask us all the time, what can they do to improve health without taking antibiotics? And there's lots of really interesting things that Mother Nature has to offer. One of them is a substance called vinegar.
Yeah, vinegar has been long known to be a good cleaner. People mix vinegar and water and clean their counters. And by the way, this is not about toxins, this particular segment, but make sure to do that versus use the toxic chemicals that we have out there. That's just one idea. But vinegar has been used for a long, long time. People take a little bit of a teaspoon of that. Sometimes I see people put it in a little water. Doesn't mix, by the way. But that is an antimicrobial, antibacterial. So it's kind of a good way. It's kind of one of Mother Nature's way to sort of provide this antibacterial process in our body.
And we're talking specifically about apple cider vinegar, the apple cider vinegar that may even contain a little bit of the mother that makes it a little bit murky or a little bit kind of like milky in nature, that has all of the healthful assets or benefits, not just white vinegar that's off the shelf.
That's right. That's right. A lot of times, even today, there's a lot of people that would even put that sort of apple cider vinegar with the mother even on top of acne or something like that, or on maybe to help wounds heal better. So I think there's a lot of applications. It goes back to what we've said many times. The answers to what we have need of here in the world are many times in the world for us. We just got to know where to look. And it's not always a medication. As you talked about, when you take an antibiotic, not that antibiotics are always bad, we use them what we deem to be appropriately and not overuse them. But you can get this collateral damage from those things and get other bacteria you don't need to have killed off. But with vinegar, it doesn't happen that way. We get the negative bacteria sort of more targeted if we're using that in that way.
We have a lot of patients that actually use it as a digestive aid.
Yeah.
It seems to help their digestion, post-meal if they take a teaspoonful of apple cider vinegar. So it can be helpful for digestive cases.
Oh, totally. I think the people have used that for centuries. I was thinking the other day when I was talking to somebody, where did people get the idea to use vinegar for that purpose anyway? This is back before
they had proton pump
modern
inhibitors
medicine and all this stuff. It's like, I think that perhaps God had a way of teaching people how to care for themselves, and probably still does if we would just listen to it. And again, not knocking medicine at all, but when we look at medicine as the first line and only line of treatment for things, we are making a big mistake. And it's becoming a treacherous situation where we come in bondage to Big Pharma. We forget the things like apple cider vinegar.
Well, and what we're doing is we're making a population antibiotic resistant. So we have to go back to what Mother Nature has to offer that is not going to kill negative bacteria, but actually boost the immune system. So we can go from like apple cider vinegar to, what about iconic silver?
Oh, totally. We've used a lot of silver. Like, what about this thing about silver can we use? So I thought silver was a precious metal. Well, it is, but you can actually use silver as a way to sort of deal with this antimicrobial thing that can happen inside of our GI tract, inside of I was telling somebody yesterday, take a little bit of this colloidal silver and gargle in it. And using that as a way to sort of help out with the viruses that might sort of try to attack us at these barriers here. You can actually take silver and you can spray it up your nose. You can take silver and you can wash your hands with it. It sure does beat a bunch of alcohol we're using. I remember back in the days of the C word time, remember that? Where people were just putting those alcohol wipes everywhere and people were just smelling like alcohol. And I thought to myself, we are bathing in toxins. And I remember clearly in the clinic, we put a bottle of silver out there where people could take it and spray it. And they were washing their hands in the silver. And what a great way to do it. And this is something that kids can use. You're not going to hurt yourself. It takes you an immense, you'd have to probably drink it to get the blue man syndrome, because you can get that. But I've only seen one person like that in my whole life. Have you seen people like that drank a lot of silver?
I've seen
blue?
a couple cases,
Yeah.
but they literally were drinking it, and it was not a safe grade to consume. So they ended up with
Don't
problems.
drink silver like it's your favorite beverage, bottom line.
One of the other things that I actually do with silver is I carry a very small spray bottle in my purse when we're traveling in the airports. And, I'm not so sure that it's cleanly to wash your hands at the sink where you look around and it's just a bunch of mess and debris and germs and bacteria. You might as well just use your silver, spray yourself off, wipe yourself off, and move on. I'll also spray the toilet seat. I'll spray the handle on the doors just to be protective and proactive from what might have passed in there before me.
Well, another one that people use and that we kind of forget about is a little bit of coconut oil, right? Coconut oil has a substance in it that actually will help out with some antimicrobial effects in the gut too. A lot of people put like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon in there, maybe coffee, and it'll melt in there a little bit. It kind of gives it a little bit of a, it's got oil, but it's a little bit of a sweet taste. Pretty good.
And what about caprylic acid?
Well, I like caprylic acid as well. People use that as sort of an antimicrobial as well. There's a lot of things out here within nature that people can use. I know people can use garlic sometimes. That's been well documented out there.
Yes, and even for heart health,
Totally.
garlic's potency.
The bottom line is there's a whole bunch of things that are out here for us that nature has, including the vinegars and the silvers of the world. There's probably a bunch of them out here that you're thinking of right now. What about that? We don't have time to go in all of them, but the bottom line is nature, God, provides healing for his people through this various plant-based environment we have. We just got to know where to look. So start off with a little bit of apple cider vinegar and see what it does for your health.
Can a shake transform your life?
Well, if it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
Yes!
consistency is key, and there's not a better, simpler way to begin your change.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto-ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.